All right, class, this will be the last instructional video on 2.2. I will leave it to you to look at example 4 and how they did that. In example 5, they use a chart there. That's okay if you use it or not. You do not have to know about the intermediate value theorem. That's something in calculus. I'm going to go over here and look at your homework problem number 71. So you're assigned 71 through 79, the odds to create a sketch finding the real zeros, applying the leading coefficient test. For number 73, do you see how that's in red? The QR code will walk you through that one. I want to walk you through number 71. So basically with 71, they put the 1/4 out there just to kind of throw you off a little bit. We're just going to be looking at the quadratic mostly, and we've done quadratics, right? So even though you learned it in section 2.1, you would have to apply it here because we have a quadratic. So the leading coefficient, all that we care about is it positive or negative? It's 1/4, so that's positive. The degree is a degree 2, so I know that both tails will be going up. So when I sketch a graph of it here, I've got both tails going up. The turning points, we will only have 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. And now for the zeros. So if we have a quadratic, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to factor that. So I started this like, oh, what are two numbers that multiply to 15 and add up to 2? Well, obviously there aren't. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to use the quadratic formula on this. A is 1, B is -2, and C is 15. Notice that I'm ignoring the 1/4 here because the zeros of this will be the zeros of the whole thing. 1/4 times 0 is 0. So don't worry about that 1/4. Just use the A, B, and C from here. Quadratic formula, and when I figure that out, I get 4 minus 60 under my radical. I know that a negative under the radical means that I am going to have no real zeros. No real zeros. But what do I know about quadratics? So I know that I could find the vertex. That's -b over 2a. So a -2 is +2 over 2 times 1, which is 2. That gives me an x of 1. To find the y value, I'm going to put that into, now I need to know what the value of all this. So I've got the 1/4 there. Putting in x equals 1, I get 1/4 of 14, which is about 3.5. So now we have a vertex at 1, 3.5. I know that my tails are both going up. I know that I have, oh, this one's wrong, right? My y-intercept is 1/4 of 15. So that's going to be, well, look what I can do. I can just write that as 15 over 4. I don't even have to divide it. 15 over 4 is my C, my y-intercept. My vertex is at 1, 3.5. So here's, let's say this is 1. 3.5 is just slightly less than that. So I've got this and I've got that. Whoop. And there's our sketch. Not very exciting, but whatever. You could pop that in. I think that these are always fun to go ahead and graph that on your graphing calculator and check your work that way. Okay, if you have any further questions, we will have plenty of time to go over those on Monday. See you then.